Welcome to The Coach Within. I'm your host, Coach Jedi, a podcast where transformation begins from the inside out. Here, we explore coaching conversations that unlock clarity, spark insight, and bring you closer to your purpose. Whether you're a coach, a leader, or someone on the journey of personal growth, you're in the right place. Each episode brings real stories, practical tools, and thought-provoking reflections to help you thrive in life, leadership, relationships, and dreams. Let's journey inward, ignite the coach within, and brave your story. Hi everyone, welcome back to this episode. This episode, we're going to be focusing on the ICF Credentialing Exam, giving you the tips, strategies that you need, not just to pass, but to ace your exam. Far too often, many coaches think about just passing the exam without really thinking about, hey, how do I actually score? And what does it mean for me to just pass the exam? What kind of mindset do I need? What kind of strategies do I need? What kind of preparation do I need to really, ace that exam that I'm looking up for? So in this episode, we're going to have me, myself, Jedi, and Irene here. Everybody say hi to Irene. Yeah, okay. So we're going to have a little discussion about how to prepare for the exam in a way that will give you the most, we call it highest CP, which is the highest value that you can get in preparation. So the ICF has different types of exams. And we call this the ICF Credentialing Exam. In the past, it's called the Coach Knowledge Assessment, but it has evolved to this thing called the ICF Credentialing Exam. So if you're watching this video or this audio series or this podcast series, and if you're listening to this in a couple of years' time, you will find that there will be some changes and modifications as we go. So for all latest updates, I would always recommend for us to review the ICF website on the latest credentialing requirements. But needless to say, even if in the future the credentialing requirements have shifted, this video and this channel and this podcast series would provide you with a great resource guide, because we're going to be covering not just the exam strategies, we're going to be talking about the core competencies. We're also going to be talking about the areas where you can excel, how you're going to practice, how you're going to review them. So if you're watching this and participating in this learning today, you will be given some coaching education hours as well. All right, so getting excited, getting ready, because we're going to dive right in. Okay, so Irene, are you ready for your exam?
Yes.
Okay, so the big question people ask, what is the exam all about? Well, at the ACC level, we have what we call the ICF Credentialing Exam for the ACC Level 1. Then we have the PCC level, which is for the Professional Certified Coach. And then we have for the MCC level. Currently, for the PCC and MCC, they share a common MCQ exam. At the ACC level, it will be a more simplified version, largely based around knowledge. So you'll be having a lot of knowledge-based exam as compared to the PCC or MCC level, which is more scenario-based questions. So let's take a look at the structure overall. The ICF exam for the ACC has about 60 multiple choice questions, and they're all knowledge-based. So that's the good news. So you don't have to worry too much. If you attend a coach education before, I would highly encourage you. If you've never been before, come and join me at one of my classes or join one of my mentor coaching classes as well, because we're going to go deeper in each one of the core competencies. And not just the core competencies, it's also the ICF Code of Ethics, the core values, the principal considerations, and all the other resources that's available on the ICF website. So the ICF says this: there are a brief prompt. The brief prompt, basically, it's a question. It could be an open-ended statement. It could be a very, very short opener. And you have like a 4 response, A, B, C, D. And you're going to choose one best, most correct answer. There will be some occasions where the questions can seem very similar to each other, and you're wondering, okay, should I choose this or should I choose that? Again, you will base your answer based on the best possible expressions that is found in the ICF core competencies or the Code of Ethics or the study guides. Now, the exam also is broken into 2 sections with an optional 10-minute break, which you can ask for in the midway of the exam. So all in all, you have about 90 minutes for this exam. You have the first part where you'll be given 2 minutes for the exam instructions that you will find on your Pearson's hub. In section 2, you have 30 items, which is 30 questions. You have about 39 minutes each, so essentially 1 minute each, 9 minutes for just a review. And you have a scheduled break of 10 minutes, and then you have section 2, which is another 30 questions and 39 minutes. Okay, so what we know is that 90 minutes, 10-minute break, 60 minutes, 60 are multiple choice questions. Everything we've done on the Pearson's VUE testing centers worldwide. So at where you are in your countries, you may have a physical center. I highly encourage for coaches or learners or people who are applying for ACC to go in person, because sometimes your home Wi-Fi or maybe the home might not be the most conducive environment for you to perform the remote proctor testing. So for ease of administration, I would highly recommend just going for the test centers near you. You want to cater enough time, because we might experience traffic jam in the morning, or sometimes there could be issues with the testing centers, and you just want to make sure you sort it out, clear your mind before you enter the exam hall. Okay, good. So before I go deeper in each one of them, I thought it would be good for us to kind of explore the ICF website. So this gives you a good idea of where to navigate all this information and data points to help you. So if you're watching this video, I want to encourage you, go to the ICF website, because that's where you get your latest information. So a lot of times many coaches are worried, they say, oh, okay, you could come to my exam preparation class. Well, the good news is, if you follow my channel, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends, watch my podcast, share this with your friends. It's absolutely free. You don't have to pay a single cent. And I really believe in this, that coaching is about sharing, right? So it's not about trying to keep some knowledge. It's not about hiding knowledge behind a paid wall. I want you to know where to find all these resources available for you. Now, I'm here if you need additional support, additional guide, additional coaching, additional mentoring, and you want to engage my services on a personal basis, feel free to reach out to me. Otherwise, everything that is here available on the website, on the YouTube channel, as well as on my various page on social media, everywhere else, is free. You can watch them, you can study them, and you will be able to pass. I have had feedback from many coaches when I met them around the world that just by watching the videos, they passed. So same for you as well. Regardless of where you're coming from, if you just follow through whatever I'm covering here, it's more than enough. Okay, so under the ICF, you would find this page called the ICF ACC Credentialing Exam page. And here, ICF will give you all the links that you ever need. That is more than enough for you. So let's go through some of them. So the ICF says this, right, that the exam is a key milestone on this path to offer you the opportunity to showcase your foundational coaching knowledge and skills. So it's not about testing you in terms of advanced knowledge like the concepts, research based. No, it's foundational coaching knowledge, which is your core competencies and code of ethics. So the overview of the ACC credentialing, which is something that you would be familiar when you're applying for the ICF credentialing pathway, it's you have your level 1, you have portfolio pathways. So the ACC exam, it's the final step. And to be clear, there's two kinds of exams. So sometimes you have what we call the performance evaluation, which is your coaching recording. That is where we assess your coaching competence in terms of your practitioner-based articulation of the coaching session through a structured and also fair and an approach of listening to your recording and giving you the assessment. That is performance evaluation. So performance of your coaching session. The second part is really this part on the exam, which is an MCQ exam, which does a few things. One, validates your foundational understanding of the ICF core competencies, the code of ethics, and the definition of a coaching. So you notice these are very, very key secrets. So if you ask me, Jedi, what are the resources that I need to focus on? The core competencies, code of ethics, and definition of coaching. Okay. Now, what you can see here is that how this exam came about. So ICF actually formed a study group as well as a task force where they did what we call a job analysis of the different core skills that coaches need and coaches are applying in the workplace. And they drew from all these reflective practices and past experiences as well and developed this exam set. So this exam set is actually developed by coaches for coaches. Now, because of the vantage point of this exam, which integrates a lot of different perspectives from different parts of the world, so it's really important for us to also understand how certain parts are phrased, how certain expressions are phrased. And so the way it's phrased will again be premised based on the ICF core documents. Okay, so you can see here that every single question has gone through multiple runs or multiple rounds of review testings by subject matter experts, as well as a way to have a fair, accurate, and validated way to test your knowledge. So sometimes you might get upset with the results, but rest assured that your results or the exam testings have undergone robust rounds of experiments as well as critique to ensure its highest quality and standards. Now, also because ICF wants to maintain a certain level of integrity and standards, there is no, if you come across people purporting to know all the exam questions, you have to recognize that that is a violation of the ICF Code of Ethics. Because the reason for this exam is to ensure a fair playing ground for everyone. So if you come across any coach educators or anyone saying that, oh, come and join my class, I'll give you all the sample exam questions, you have to be mindful that it's more likely than not the exam questions or the sample exam questions they're providing are just something that they've created. And if they had copied the questions from the ICF exam centers themselves, then they're in violation of the ICF Code of Ethics, which would be subject for review. Okay, so this really is just to test you, give you a fair playing ground to test you. So how's it structured? Like I mentioned earlier, it's 60 multiple choice questions, and there's a standardized testing score from a range of 200 to 600 points. Now, why is there this specific range of 200 to 600 points? This has been determined by the board or by a group of panel experts, where they determine this measuring systems will help you score, or will help them to be able to evaluate the scoring matrix much better. So a score of 460 out of 600 would be required to pass. That is about 76%. So if you look at the 60 and multiple choice questions, it's about 76%. So you're essentially aiming towards an 80% and above scoring. Okay. Now, would it be very difficult to pass? What if I'm afraid of exams? Not to worry, because today's session is all about that, to give you that hope, that confidence, and that assurance. So earlier I mentioned about the exam format. So you can take a look at this again, go to this portal and see it for yourself. And the exam content is structured like this. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the key areas. There are three broad categories of the exam. The first one is the coaching ethics. The second, definitions and boundaries of coaching. And third, coaching competencies, strategies, and techniques. So all this, if you look at this, what are they really testing you? Well, essentially, it's 60% of the code of ethics or competency one. The boundaries of coaching, mainly it's a lot about code of ethics and a little bit of the competencies as well, but largely. So you could see a lot more testings on the code of ethics. So if you go deeper into it, what can we find? These are the key words that you have to remember, or the key domains that you want to study. So under coaching of ethics or coaching ethics, you have 30%. Here, knowledge of professional ethics code. This is essentially the ICF Code of Ethics, and you want to use the latest version. And this year, in April 1st, ICF launched the latest version, or May 1st, ICF launched the latest version of the Code of Ethics. Review that, that's important. Identify what constitutes a conflict of interest. This is found in the Code of Ethics. Awareness of relevant laws, regulations, organization policies, and procedures around confidentiality. What factors would necessitate breaking confidentiality? This is also found in the Code of Ethics. So all this are found in the Code of Ethics. Now, if they gave you this few areas here, which tells you that at least some questions will come from each one of them. So that you would definitely see a question on conflict of interest. You definitely see a question on confidentiality, and a lot more knowledge. Okay. Now let's take a look at the boundaries of coaching. Mastery of the definition of coaching. Oh, what does it mean by mastery of the definition of coaching? Now, mastery is not full knowledge of it. Mastery is becoming more competent every day, building the reflective practice to deepen your understanding of what the definition of coaching is. And this definition of coaching is ICF's definition of coaching. Where can you find this? You can find this on the ICF website. I have a whole video series on the definition of coaching. So subscribe to my channel. You'll find all the different information there as well. Now, the next one is knowledge of the coaching process and how it differs from other related professions, such as therapy, counseling, mentoring, consulting. This would have been covered in your level 1 programs or level 2 programs or level 3 programs. And so you should be familiar with this.
Yep.
If you're not familiar, you can watch my videos as well. It's covered there. And thirdly, recognition of when and how to make appropriate referrals to mental health professionals. So this document is actually found in the ICF website. ICF have prepared a white paper on when to refer clients to professional help. So refer to those resources as well. Where can you find them? Come to this place under resources. You would see all the resources here that ICF provided for you. Click on the resources and go through them, right? All the resources. So it's all there. Now, the fourth point, ability to recognize the signs of mental health conditions that may block progress in coaching as well. Now, we are not a mental health expert, neither are we a psychologist or psychiatrist or an expert in counselor or any sort of that role or therapies. Our role as a coach is to recognize when it falls outside of the boundaries of coaching. So here, when we say recognize the signs of mental health conditions, is that hey, are things am I noticing that are beyond what the role of coach can do or cannot do for the client? So these are the boundaries of coaching. So you can find most of this in the Code of Ethics as well as in the ICF resource guides. Where do you find them again? Under resources, you can see all those different research or academic research done by ICF. So go through them as well. It will help you. Okay. Next, you have 40% that will be based on the core competencies or the coaching competencies, strategies, and techniques. So here, you see that ICF talks about understand how to contract clients. Okay. I don't like this word because ICF's word is agreements. Agreements essentially are contracts. So this is the coaching agreement, ICF CC 3. Comprehension of the ICF core competencies. What are these? These are the 8 core competencies. Expertise in goal setting and motivation strategies. Okay, what are these? Again, I don't like the word expertise because this indicates you've arrived at a certain place, but knowledge or understanding. So if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, you just want to have that at a certain level of just understanding and comprehension. Not necessarily having the expertise because you're just at the ACC level of 100 hours of experience. So you're not required to have that expert level vantage point. But understanding what is goal setting for the client, understanding why do we do certain things. And this is competency number 8. Yeah, so all these are competency number 8. Motivation strategies are not complicated. It's not about intrinsic, extrinsic motivation alone. Those are additional information. But here, you're looking essentially at how does the ICF define facilitating clients' learning and growth. Competency 8. And finally, proficiency with various coaching techniques, tools, and resources. So this, ICF is not going to test you on specific coaching models. Notice it's techniques. And what are these techniques? They're all found within the ICF core competencies. So you may come from different school of thought or different schools that may teach different coaching model. Some coaching schools may teach their own proprietary models. Other schools may do something else as well. But here, what I truly believe in is coaching should be beyond models. Never coach from a place of models, coach from a place of principles and approach. Allow the client to know that this is a partnership. This is co-creation. This is a space where we're collaborating. Okay, so here you see 2 buttons here. These are 2 very essential buttons. One is study the core competencies. Just so click on that, you have access to all the core competencies here. So go through that, study that, review that. That will help you to understand a lot. And you'll find that here ICF has categorized them into the 4 domains of the core competencies. So go through these domains and go through the translation or go through the 8 core competencies as a whole. Okay. And you have the Code of Ethics as well. So just click on that and you'll be able to see the ICF Code of Ethics. Download the series. I have a whole video series as well. You can watch ICF's one, but I explain every single line and item on my podcast channel. So just review that. It will help you a lot. So here you can find all the Code of Ethics here. Okay, and also you'll find the ICF core values of professionalism, collaboration, humanity, and equity. So go through this as well. So everything here, go through them, understand the definition of them, because the ICF's definition of coaching is also found here. The definition of conflict interest is also found here. Confidential is also found here. So everything that you need for the exam is found here. Okay, every single thing. So you don't have to need additional resources. Everything's found there. Now, under the exam information, you'll find that there is the whole exam is done in English.
Mm.
So if English is your primary language, go for it. If it's not and you can understand English, you can still choose for it. For non-English speakers, taking the exam in English, you get extension of 30 minutes. Okay, and the exam is also offered in the following languages as well. So you have an option. If you choose any one of this language, you have a pop-up of that language, and then you'll be able to answer the questions. Okay, and if you need additional support, you can also request for bilingual translations or accommodations. For example, if you have a certain form of aid that you require, please make a request to ICF, and ICF will be able to support you with that. Yeah. Okay, so that's a very quick overview, and you see that ICF as well has reviewed all these different key insights. Revisit materials from your coaching education program, which is if you come to our level 1 program called Certified Co-Creative Professional Coach, or level 2 Transformative Professional Coach, or level 3 Mastery Certified Coach. So come for the programs, come to our level 1, 2, 3 programs. You will have all the materials you need to prepare for the exam. Familiarize yourself with the ICF core competencies, review the ACC minimum requirements, study the ICF Code of Ethics, key definitions, interpretive statements, reflect on typical coaching situations and effective response, and review guidelines for referring coaches to therapy or other supporting professionals. So if you do all these points, you should be able to get full marks. Yeah, and I truly believe that Irene will be at least getting 99% or 90% and above.
Yeah. Hope to pass.
Yeah.
Enough. Good
Okay.
enough.
And if you want to kind of get a sense of what the Pearson's VUE platform looks like, it's basically one of the larger exam testing centers around the world. You can simply click here, register for an account, and experience what it's like to click the buttons. Now, also do keep in mind that whatever you test here in terms of its flow might be a little bit different at your own local country, because every single computers, they may be updated with a different software. So just be mindful that whatever buttons you click here might be a bit different. So familiarize yourself with the ones in your country. So here you can try out all those different credentialing exams from ACC, PCC, MCC. Even come and join us for our advanced team coaching certification programs as well. Okay, so here it's where you can try it out. Click on it, you will go through every single thing. So they have the exam tutorials here. Click on them, have a go at it. You will be able to find some help with this. Now, the exam tutorials essentially is not really a tutorial. It's just giving you the sample exam questions. It gives you a feel of what is it like to click on the buttons. Okay.
I see.
Yeah. So it's not like a study tutorial per se. It's just having
Okay.
that sample question. So you just click on that, and you find all the different elements there.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So here you would have sample questions and practice like a pro. So I like the word there, but when you practice like a pro, essentially it brings you back to the same page. Okay, so it's ICF's way of marketing, their buttons. So sometimes I find the buttons a bit strange, but essentially there's no practice. Essentially, it's just the sample questions.
Okay.
And that's why I'm creating this video series to support you, because it is what it is to be practicing really like a pro.
That's nice.
Okay, so here you have all those different exam registration process. Seek help with ICF, and you should be able to know how to apply for them. And here you also have an exam reference list. You may use this or you may not use this. It's not the most important one, but you could use this. Okay, so in this reference list, ICF will give you a whole list of what they have used to help generate this set of questions. Okay, so all those things here.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, however, not all of this are the only ones. So I talk about the white paper, I talk about the ethics here,
Yep.
right? These are not the only ones, because some of these are outdated, okay, because they're still reflecting 2020. Yeah. So all these are not the important ones. You have a lot more that are in your coaching education centers as well. So refer to them, refer to the video series I'm providing, as well as the podcast. You would have all that you need there. Okay. Now, but it's never too it's never too much to over prepare. The moment you're familiarized with yourself, that's great enough. Okay, good. So are we excited now that we have kind of gone through some of these things?
But at least I know if I want to do some last minute prep, where can I get some of the information? But it will still be good for you to go through with us some of the questions.
Yes. So we're going to talk about some questions, but before we talk about the questions, we have to talk about the design of the questions.
Mm.
So that you understand, like, oh, how do I approach answering those questions? How do I think about them? And what are my knowledge gaps? Okay, so we have to understand that the exams are testing you at a certain level, which is knowledge alone. So the good news is you don't have to worry too much about too many scenarios. And the even better news is these questions will all come from the core competencies and code of ethics. So take note of how they express themselves. How does ICF phrase certain words? What kind of words they use? So I know that even in English, there are differing thoughts and views of how certain words are used. But please refer to the ICF way of expression because that will be how the exam is formulated from. Okay, so you have all these different domains that we talked about earlier, right? And one of the big questions people ask me is that, hey, Jedi, how does this link? How do they link, right? So ethics, it's really about that foundational piece, and then the boundaries allows you to use the ethics to kind of guide you to know what are the boundaries within the coaching. And then finally, the competencies as applications, which is how you bring that into the real world, how you stay relevant, how you stay ethical, how to stay with integrity and to create the powerful questions. Okay, good. So now a little quick secrets into what you want to know, and I've kind of labeled this because I find that the ICF website or the ICF way of classifying using the Bloom's language as well doesn't really reflect what you need to know because they use words like mastery of definition of coaching, which I find is a little bit too over the top for learners. So I've kind of rephrased them into basic level of taxonomy level, right, of learning. So you essentially need what we call the knowledge of professional ethics code, which is the ICF Code of Ethics. Basic knowledge of conflict of interest, basic knowledge of those relevant laws. Same thing for definition of coaching, the basic knowledge of definition of coaching by the ICF, the basic knowledge of how coaching differs from other forms of support, basic knowledge of when to refer to mental health, basic knowledge of when to look for signs of mental health. Now, again, it's very important here, especially in this as we develop further in the space of mental health and neurodiversity, that we have to be mindful that we're not here to prognose, diagnose. We are only here to be aware that there are signs. If in doubt, always invite the client to consider additional help from outside sources. Okay. Now with AI, a lot of coaches say, "Oh, but based on ChatGPT, it says this." So please don't rely on AI to tell you that, right? Always seek a professional partnership. So it's always good for coaches to kind of have professional partnerships with registered counselors, board certified doctors, and relevant stakeholders to really support your practice. Okay. Also, all these are the basic knowledge that we just talked about earlier as well. Knowledge of the competencies, knowledge of the goal setting, knowledge of techniques. Okay, good. So here, I want to share with everyone a very simple framework. I call this the pass your exam framework. Okay. Yeah, pass your exam framework. PASS, right? PASS framework. In order for you to pass on the very first attempt, you have to watch this and listen to this episode very, very, very carefully. Because once you have this, you know how to study well, you know what are the requirements. So what is this pass all about? Now, so this is a little secret that I share with a lot of our students as well. But since you guys are following me, following the channel, following the podcast channels, and I want to share this little bit with you. Okay, so pass first, P, the first PASSP. P is the first phase, what we call purposeful mapping. Okay, what is it all about? It means that understanding the exam testing design. How was it designed? Right? And what really matters in this level of coaching. Don't worry about too advanced because it's really at this level. Focus really on the ethics and competency logic. So like I said, it's not too difficult, not at the mastery level yet because you're just ACC, but just understand the logic. Why is this in this domain? Why is that in that domain? So purposeful mapping within your mind. So you have some cognitive idea. Second, it's what I call A, active mastery. Active mastery means we are practicing mastery. Engage with materials using practice. You can use flashcards, post-its, use your notepad. I know today a lot of modern people are using their phones, computers, and then with all those different flashcards, use them to support you. Focus on the various tools, the words, the terms, the terminology, ICF's definition. Where can you find them? Go to the glossary section of the Code of Ethics. That is the common definition. Okay, different schools may have different definitions, but the exam is not based on different schools. The exam is based on the ICF Code of Ethics. So refer to the glossary of terms that will give you a common definition to use. And also on the ICF website, there are scenarios. There are ethics scenarios. Use those to support you in your learning. The next alphabet is what we call S, strategic recall. So train your brain to remember key ideas under exam conditions, quiz, mnemonics. So for example, our quiz. If Irene's my buddy, I'll quiz her. Hey, Irene, where is questioning in the ICF Code of Ethics? Then she may say, that is the old competency. That's the previous 11 core competency, powerful questioning. Today, competency 7 is known as evoking of awareness.
Okay.
Okay, in evoke awareness, we have words like inquiry, exploration, right? Ask questions to support expanded ways of thinking, feeling about certain issues, about what the situation is and who they are. So using this to bounce ideas, to test and train your brain, okay, under pressure, right? So the next day, what does competency 4 say?
I know. Cultivate safety and some safety one, right? Cultivate safety and something.
Okay, so notice this is to train a bit. It's cultivate trust and safety.
Trust and safety. See, I remember a bit.
That's good. So come for more classes, right? And you see, hey, okay, so if it's cultivate trust and safety, then ask yourself, why is it not cultivate safety and trust? Why is it trust and safety? And then ask yourself, what on earth is cultivation? You mean, are we planting some seeds? Are we tilling the ground? What is that visual metaphor of cultivation? Is it a once-off thing? So the metaphoric expression of cultivation means it's not have trust and safety, not develop trust and safety, but cultivate means it's always in progress.
Yep.
Right? So using this to test each other, strategic recall, and the final S, scenario-based thinking. So create different scenarios, right? With context rich dilemmas. Ask what do you think might be the best options, worst options. When do you refer? When do you use these techniques? What are some considerations, and why would you make the considerations? So sometimes this scenario-based thinking will allow you to test maybe my biases or my thought came from my own experience rather than the ICF Code of Ethics. There will be some gray areas that might not be so clean, might not be so clear, but we choose what's most context rich. And one of the important elements in the new revision of the Code of Ethics is this: 2 words. Do good. Okay.
Yes, I keep seeing.
Yeah. So ICF realizes that, that there could be like thousands of scenarios out there, right? And it's going to be very hard for the Code of Ethics to cover every single possibility. So the basic premise is, are we doing good for the client, for the coaching process, for the entire space, right? Or are we doing this for ourselves? Yeah. Okay, good. So PASS, P, purposeful mapping, A, active mastery, S, strategic recall, S, scenario thinking. Okay, do this for every single section. So let's look at it from section by section. So section A, coaching ethics. It's all about ethics. So if we apply P, we ask ourselves, do we know the ICF Code of Ethics inside out? Or do we just say, okay, I think it's just like that. In Singlish, we call it aga-aga, like, it's like, I know, but, I know ethics, it's just about ethics, but I cannot tell you what ethics is. Okay, so you need to be able to explain to another person what the Code of Ethics is. What does it entail? What does it have? What are some of the ethical considerations or the anchors? Usually I say that there are 3 or 4 key things, such as integrity, respect, responsibility, transparency, and then you have certain keywords such as conflict of interest, confidentiality, boundaries. Right. So these are what we call mapping what I know from the Code of Ethics to what I'm experiencing in the real world. Okay. The second one, A, active recall, right? Active mastery. So recall them using your flashcards. You can think about an ethical rule from the ICF Code of Ethics, and then try to link it to a real life example. What happens there? Or role play with your peers. One of the things that I run a lot is what we call our ethics workshop. Right? A lot of coaches avoid ethics workshop, but I've run that in the ICF chapters as well, with ICF Taiwan, in Mandarin, in other languages as well. So come and join us for some of these ethical trainings as well. Okay, so use role play, case studies, strategic recall, use mnemonics, use acronyms to help you remember. Use things like, for example, clarify, listen, evaluate, act, record. That's a clear ethical response. So I use this to teach ethics in one of our classes as well, right? So how do we, before we can even say, hey, that's an ethical problem, let's clarify first. Did I listen correctly? Let's evaluate based on what? Based on the ICF guidelines. Let's act in response of doing good. Let's record. Let's find evidence to place and record what is done right and what's done wrong. So using this clear approach to respond ethically. The other S, scenario-based thinking, which is we ask ourselves, hey, which one of this response upholds the best or most upholds confidentiality? And then in that process, think through the scenario, what would be the best option? There can be many good options, but what could be the best? And what does best mean? Best means that which one aligns most to the ICF definition of ethics. Okay, so that's the first. Now, in it, I want us to go a little bit deeper with the new updated ICF Code of Ethics effective this year of April the 1st, 2025. There are 5 key sections. So if someone asks you, how many sections are there in Code of Ethics? 5. First section, agreements. Okay, this also has a linkage to the ICF core competency number 3, which is on coaching agreements. Some companies use the word contracting. So I don't want us to be confused by the word contracting. So contracting agreements are the same thing. Some other companies may use the word outcomes, goals. They all mean the same thing. But in ICF definition, it's agreements. Honor commitments on fees, processes, logistics, confidentiality, everything else. Agreements. Second, confidentiality. Are we protecting client information? How are we handling them? If you are in Europe, you have the GDPR regulations. If you're in Singapore, you have the PDPA regulations. If in different countries, there are associated data privacy acts based on your local countries. You also have the next one, what we call professional conduct. Avoiding harm, maintains boundary, manages conflicts. And also we look at value delivery. What is competent coaching? When do we refer to additional support? So sometimes some coaches today, especially when they go online, they say, I can do everything. Whatever problem you have, I can solve them. Coaches are not supermen. We're not super coaches. I know today there's a popular kind of buzzwords, like things like super coach, advanced coach, master coach, like Superman coach, Batman coach. There just too many of this over exemplified, over finesse titles, which actually will do the client more disfavor than favors, right? Because it confuses the client. Yeah. So we have to let our clients know that as a coach, I can't do everything. I would love to help you, but I can't do everything, and I need to let you know the boundaries, right? So that's value delivery. Being honest with the value delivery with integrity. So act in honesty and respect all interactions. For example, a coach must disclose if they coach a client's competitor to avoid any form of bias, and also, for clarity, like if I'm involved in A or B company, or if I'm coaching the client's manager, and I'm also coaching the client, and I'm also coaching the client's manager's manager, I have a lot of conflict there, right? So I need to be mindful of how I manage these conflicts. Yeah. So one of the study guides here I say is to use the ICF insights and considerations for ethics. Find these on the ICF website. It's a really good tool for you to use. Next, we have this conflict of interest identification. So this is where personal interest could compromise objectivity. So when you look at the scenario and it says something about something personal, I have this business arrangement, I have that relationship, something like that. If you notice any form of compromise that may arise, such as coaching a family member, investing in the client's business, so these two scenarios will most likely come out, right? Something about family members, like if you have to coach someone close to you, a spouse, a child, a auntie, an uncle, or it could also be a friend. Yeah, investing also in the client's business. So, what are situations that could be compromised? So, in terms of management, disclose conflict immediately. Discuss with the client what's the best way forward, and you want to kind of think about different scenarios as well. You can ask AI to help you to generate more scenarios to practice with them. So today, with the advance of AI, it's really to use as a tool, as an aid to support us. But be mindful. Sometimes AI do create errors, and I've seen a lot of errors as well. So again, use the documents that ICF has provided as your base.
Mm.
Mhm. Okay, and thirdly, we have confidentiality in laws and regulations. This is to protect all client information. So, what are the legal requirements when you need to report abuse? How about the client's written consent? How do you store records? So, there will be a question about storage of records, right? So, the answer will be, I will store records that maintains the highest confidentiality and laws regulations. Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw it in one of your sample questions.
Yes. Yeah. So that question would almost guarantee come on. so so you want to make sure that you don't get that wrong.
Mhm.
So I doubt anybody will get it wrong after listening to this. So I still ask, okay, how do you store records? Right, the most confidential way, right?
Mm.
Okay, so and then boundary management, maintaining professional limits to focus on clients' goals. Things like, should I socialize with clients outside the session? Should I talk to them? Should I do things with them, right? So think about your engagement in terms of business and other roles that you play outside of the role of a coach. If you are also a counselor or if you are a therapist and you're also a coach, how do you separate these professional limits? Okay, so clear boundaries. Next, section number B on definition and boundaries of coaching. If you use the PSS strategy, first P, purposeful mapping, we think about the definition. So when we read the definition, it's not just I just I know it. How do I know whether someone knows the definition? When I ask them, hey, can you tell me the ICF definition of coaching? Most coaches will say, uh, yeah, it's that coaching is like that. Coaching is, it's no, don't give the clients answer, let the client think for themselves. Whenever I hear such definition, I know for a fact their understanding is not even at knowledge. Their understanding is not even at the very first level, right? It's probably at the level where they assume that they know, but they do not know. There's a very key word here in the ICF definition of coaching, which is partnering.
Partnering.
Right, that's the key word. In fact, I was in one of the discussions with the ICF credential boards as well, and the word partnering actually it's co-creation, co-creating with clients. Now,
Mm.
however, co-creating or co-creation might not translate very well across many languages, so they choose to use the word partnering instead.
Mm.
Yeah. So partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process to inspire change and maximize potential. That's the full definition.
Mm.
So there's two parts: in a thought-provoking process and in a creative process. So what's
Mm.
a thought-provoking process? So it's not questions. Notice there's no questions here, right? There's no I don't give you a solution. Nothing here. Thought-provoking process and creative process. No, there's no questions. There's no listening. It's a process to inspire change and maximize potential, not to get to solutions.
Mm.
So you notice today there's so much focus on I'm a solution focused, I'm a results focused, I'm a this focused, I'm a Irene focused, I'm a emotions focused. So today a lot of coaches say I'm focused on this, I'm focused on that. Then I say, but where should the focus be on and be with? My focus is with the client. The client's focus
Mm.
is on their goals and outcomes that they desire.
Mm.
And we should not be forcing solutions. Otherwise, we get so stymied into that little box. Okay,
Yep.
so use the boundary box to allow the coach to stay within a more future oriented, not past oriented, client generated insights, non directive approach. So you're not telling the client
Mm.
what to do, but rather allow the client to lead the conversation. So the first P, very important, purposeful mapping. Second, mastery. How do we gain active mastery? Draw up a table of what coaching is versus the other forms like therapy, consulting, psychology, therapy, consulting, training. Drop a table. Now there are many tables online. If you just do a Google search, not every table is correct. So be mindful that there are a lot of very fanciful tables out there that looks nice, but they do not actually convey the real meaning of it. So refer to the ICF core competencies as the main guide as well. Okay. At the same time, also listen to clients' signal when they need to refer to for additional support or needs. Things like suicidal ideation, depression, trauma, self-harm, other forms of harm that goes beyond the scope of coaching. Okay. Now, you also want to do some strategic recall. Use this acronym or mnemonic called FIRM. Okay. Functionality drop, inappropriate topic, recurring emotional dysregulation, and then M, mental health signals. So, are we noticing anything that is being dropped from the client functionality? Is there any inappropriate topic the client is raising that maybe it's not within the scope of coaching? For example, if the client says, "Hey, can you help me with my business?" Okay, it may not be appropriate for the coaching topic. Are there any recurring emotional dysregulation or with the client, anything that's up and down with the client, or mental health stress that you're noticing? And beyond that, any form of scenario thinking, right? So practice scenario thinking with the client, with your peers or with client. Think about client situation when their need is out of the scope of coaching. So just yesterday, I was running a coaching class in Mandarin, and one of the coaches who was also a counselor asked me, "Say, Jedi, what if what if a client come to me, and want help to remove an emotional baggage?" Then they asked me, "Can I use coaching in that counseling session?" So I asked him, "What session is that?" "Counseling." Okay, I said, you have your answer there. Right. So if it's a counseling topic, leave it in counseling. If it's a therapeutic topic, leave it in therapy. If it's a coaching topic, then you allow the client to make a choice. What help they need. Okay, good. So if we go a little bit deeper, we can see that the definition of coaching, which we mentioned earlier, partnering clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their potential and professional potential as well. So both things, personal and professional potential. Okay, the process, rapport building, trust, clear goals, outcomes, explore current, expanded realities, options, opportunities, and then commitment to actions. That's the will, right? The will to succeed, the will to carry on. Some people call it the motivation, the drive, the enabler. So whatever words we call it, it's just commitment or accountability towards actions. Okay, good. Then be careful of or be cognizant of different professions. You need to know roughly what they are. Things like therapy, right? So therapy are usually things that addresses past traumas, often diagnostic. So my questions are more, it could be more narrow because I'm trying to diagnose what's happening. Coaching is more future focused. It doesn't mean that we don't care about the past. It's just that we can't change the past, but we draw insights and learnings from the past. Therapy really want to kind of help us resolve the past. Coaching, we recognize there's a past. It could take some time to even resolve it. Our purpose is not to resolve it. Our purpose is just to draw learnings. Counseling really focuses on emotional issues, especially on emotional past healings. Coaching emphasizes on how we can help them grow. Not to avoid emotional issues, but help them grow from it. Mentoring, more directive, more experience based. If I am a mentor from a maybe computing sector, I cannot be a mentor to a medical sector because I need to have relevant experience,
Yep.
right? So coaching is a non-directive, more process approach. Consulting, it's more expert solutions and providing solutions, whereas coaching facilitates client solutions, right? And one of the things is think about that guide that you want to create for yourself. So create something for yourself. Okay. Finally, we have this thing for mental health conditions. When you notice anxiety, trauma, suicidal ideation, self-harm, these are clear indicators that you might need some additional helps. So one of the keywords, approach it sensitively. Another keyword, provide referral resources. What are the indicators again? Anxiety, so you will notice the client feeling more anxious and have even mentioned thoughts of self-harm. When you see this kind of phrase appearing, your immediate action, sensitively handle the situation and provide additional referrals when needed. Okay, so what are some common conditions that we can recognize? Depression, when the client persistently says, "I feel sad." Very low motivation. I don't want to do anything. I have no energy to do anything. How to do it, but I have no energy. Very depressed. Anxiety, very, very worried. Panic attacks, PTSD, a lot of flashbacks, avoidance behaviors. So the role of the coach is recognize this. We're not there to diagnose, to say, oh, that's a PTSD. Oh, that's a mental health issue. My role, I cannot diagnose whether it's a mental health or not, but I'm noticing something's happening for the client and it's affecting them to be present. If I'm noticing that, I want to bring the awareness to the client and allow them to decide what is the best method forward for them. Okay, so this is something important for us. Okay, we're not there to kind of diagnose. We're just there to recognize and allow the client to decide what is the best way forward. Okay, good. Now we dive into section C, which is all about competency strategies and techniques. Here, if we look at the P or the purposeful mapping, we have to remember our 8 core competencies by heart. Because you cannot bring in any notes, so you need to know them by heart,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
You cannot forget the first competency because that's all on ethics.
Yes.
That is the easiest one, right? And it's not just on ethics.
Mm-hmm.
What is that
Is
word?
that demonstrate ethical practice?
Yes, demonstrate ethical practice, right? So it's just not. Oh, it's not about ethics. It's me demonstrating my practice ethically, right? And the way you think about it, you can use this coaching flow map, which I've taught many coaches before. It's begin first at the place of agreements. What is it that we have agreed upon? The overarching engagement. In the agreement, what are we exploring? What new awareness is coming? What are actions developed from the awareness? And how do we support the accountability process? So that is generally the coaching flow. No matter what model you use, you can use the Grow, Oscar, Steeple,
Yeah.
or whatever models.
Yep.
They all revolve around the same thing.
Agree.
Yeah. Okay, so that's why I see, all these models today are all very, very sexy terms to just market, for marketing purpose, right? So there isn't a mother of all models because there isn't one model that fits all clients. That's why coaching, I always believe you should begin from a place of approach, support them through co-creation, and then adapt, modify, be agile according to the client's needs. Okay. Next, think about active mastery. Think about what are some of the things, the prompts, the how do I develop those agreements with the client? What kind of tools do I need? Now, because different schools teach different tools, the ICF are not going to test you specifically on things like wheel of life, right? They say, oh, okay, using the wheel of life, how do we do this? No, ICF is not going to test you on any of the tools, but they're going to ask you about application. Suppose suppose the client faces this, what is the most appropriate tool to support the client? Yeah, so it's not, you don't have to study all the tools out there. There are countless of tools. You just got to understand the application of them. Okay. Then finally, we have this strategic recall, which I will say very easy: agreement, intention, motivation towards the client's growth and outcomes. Essentially, whatever tools we use, whatever techniques we use, we have to come to agreement with the client. What is the intention of me using that tool? Is it to show off? I remember this one time, one client, one of the coaches came and tell me, "See, Jedi, I like using the MBTI because I think it's a very, very good tool." So I asked him a question: what about your client? How do they find it? They say, "Oh, the client will also find that the client will think that's very good as well." I said, "Okay, but that's what you think, that the client will think that's very good, right?" So I said, you may like a tool, but it does not mean that the client may resonate with the tool. So never let your coaching be tool-based, because tools change, and tools sometimes may form their own set of biases and heuristics because they diagnose common set of assessments. So over time, you may generate a huge pool of assessments, but you may end up having confirmation bias. Like, oh, I'm an ENFJ. Oh, Irene is a ENTP, so she's like that. I don't know, she's like that. Okay. Whenever we do this, we box people into a box. Then are you a coach or are you a boxer? And that's a big question, right? So, and when you think about this, also think about the scenarios. How to allow the client to choose the best and worst possible response. Okay. So, contracting, agreements, key elements to think about. What's the goal of the coaching engagement? What's the objective? What are the logistics, the payment, administration? What are the boundaries? How frequent are sessions? So this is what we call sometimes the formative agreement, where we list down all the specific things we're going to do. Coaching core competencies, 1 to 8. 1, demonstrates ethical practice. This is all about the demonstrating integrity, honesty, adherence to the ICF Code of Ethics.
Mm.
Number 2, embodies a coaching mindset. How do I be curious? How do I learn? How do I develop myself as a coach? Number 3, establishes and maintains agreements. Overarching agreement, sessional agreement. Number 4, cultivates trust and safety. How do we be respectful? How to create a space for client to be able to express themselves fully. Number 5, maintains agreements. How do I be more conscious in the moment with the client? Number 6, listens actively. How do I hear? How do I listen beyond the words? Number 7, evokes awareness. Uses different tools, techniques, powerful questionings to create new insights and awareness for clients. And number 8, drawing all that insights into something the client can create into actions to create something sustainable. Okay. Now, we have goal settings as well. So typically, most people or most coaches or most leaders will be familiar with the SMART goals. There are other goal setting techniques as well. Okay, you don't have to know all of them, but you got to just get an idea of what goal setting is all about.
Mm.
And why is it important to have a goal? How big should a goal be? And beyond that goal, how does it align to the client's own interests, values, vision, purpose, mission, to help them find that why and the motivation behind that. Okay, good. So I'm going to share with you a very, very simple pass one-time technique, which is a 30-minute daily practice. Okay, so a 30-minute pass daily habit that I think you can all do to really help you accelerate your coaching learning.
When should I be doing this? Like how many days before my ACC exam?
I would say do it every single day.
Okay.
Leading up to your exam, because in order to kind of address that nervous, anxious feelings that might happen, because sometimes as we are preparing, if I tell you 5 days before, but we do not know what will happen 5 days before, maybe
True.
Irene will be very, very anxious. So I say, even if you plan for every day, you might not do every day, but at least as you do, you get familiar. You say, hey, okay, I kind of know it, right? And then you get more comfortable. Yeah. So people ask me, Jedi, what's the purpose of this exam? Since today I can ask ChatGPT, I can ask AI for anything. So what even is the purpose of knowledge test? Do I really need a knowledge test? Does it even make sense? Well, to put it simply, we don't need a knowledge test, but we need a knowledge test. What does it mean? All the knowledge can be found online. Just simple search. You can use Perplexity, you can use whatever, Claude, you can use Group, anything.
It's all on the webpage anyway.
Everything's on the website, right? So you don't need that. What ICF is trying to design is to test the coaching mindset. How you're approaching it. How you are adjusting your state of mind, right? How you are preparing yourself to enter. So that's why one element that's being tested is time under pressure. You're put under pressure time of just 90 minutes to complete everything. The ICF understand is, of course, they can give you 10 hours to complete it. But if they give a little bit of pressure, right, is to test the coach ability to maintain presence, maintain state of mind in that. You can think of it as operating theater, right? So of course, if it's me, I would do it even shorter. I'll say, okay, you only have half an hour to complete the 60 questions, right? To really put a lot of pressure. But ICF is nice enough to give 90 minutes, so you have about a minute or so for every question. Yeah, so which is good. So one of the ways to kind of practice is that you use this 30 minutes past daily study habit, which is 5 minutes, just look at ethics, competency flashcard, put it down, quiz yourself, right? Next 10 minutes, use the practice sample questions that you can find on my channel, on the ICF website. Ask yourself, what's the best option, worst option, what's the best, what's the second best, why is that the second best, why is that not the first best? Another 10 minutes, reflect, okay, so what would I do as a coach if this change, if that change? And then the final 5 minutes, review again the various competency, how it ties back to the various competencies. So do this in quick successions, right? Today, okay, let's randomly take out flashcard. Oh, my flashcard today says competency 6. Okay, let's look at some questions. Okay, let's look at some things. Okay, let's tie back to the competency. Tomorrow I pick up, competency 7, let's test that. So you're just getting yourself familiar with the language of the competencies. And so when you go in there, it's going to be easier. Okay, so I'm going to close with this very interesting thought or key strategic thoughts. Number 1, think like a coach, not a technician. what best supports the client's growth, safety, and awareness. Okay, so don't try to solve the client. Second one, eliminate any fix-it option. So if you see some questions about trying to fix the client, these are often the worst answers. Okay. Third, stay neutral, empowering, and even in the phrase of what you're selecting, just choose something that is more neutral, more empowering, supportive to the client. Number four, be ethical even when it's inconvenient. So sometimes you see something that seems okay. This is the easier thing to do, right? But sometimes this will be where your ethics is being tested. So a quick summary: PASS is a way to pass your exam. So review this, and I think it's going to really help you to accelerate whatever you're going to learn today. Okay, good. So we're going to go into this phase of exam practice questions. Everybody's excited because now we're going to go through some practice exam questions. This is going to be power round, and I think it's going to kind of challenge us in terms of what we have known, what we have kind of studied before.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through a few simple questions, and then stay tuned for more because we're going to have more of such series, and then you catch more and more and more questions, right? Okay, so here I'm only going to give Irene a very, very short time. She has only 60 seconds for each question, and she's got to make a choice. Okay, and at the end of 60 seconds, that's all. So this is what you're going to do as well. Set a timer for yourself, give yourself a short time, answer the question, and we can then move forward with it.
I just need to verbalize, right? I don't need to write down.
Yeah, just verbalize.
Yeah,
Verbalize, then
okay.
we talk about it. Okay, are you ready, Irene, for this practice questions?
Yes.
Okay, very nice. Okay, question one. According to the ICF ethics, what is the primary responsibility of a coach when a client shares information that could indicate harm to themselves or others? A. Maintain absolute confidentiality as promised in the coaching agreement. B. Immediately contact the client's emergency contact. C. Follow applicable laws and seek appropriate professional guidance. And D. Continue coaching while monitoring the situation closely.
Indicate harm to themselves or others. Follow applicable laws and seek appropriate professional guidance.
Yes, that's the correct answer.
Because harm already, ma. I mean, it's a. I mean, I was considering between the continued coaching.
Mhm.
But I think when it could already indicate harm, it's like quite serious.
So the context of this question, even though there are a few quite correct answers, but because the client says they could indicate harm to themselves, so that's where we have to apply the ethics accordingly. Okay, so C is the most appropriate. Follow applicable laws and seek appropriate professional guidance where required. So great job for question one.
When they say follow applicable laws, it's the ICF laws, right? Not the
The law of the land. That means
okay. Like the police, like
the police.
In Singapore, in international is what kind of things should you be doing?
Yes.
Kind of thing. Okay.
Correct. So in this situation, for example, in Singapore, if someone says, I want to harm myself, we have the SOS hotline.
Yeah.
Right? And you have the fiduciary to make the appropriate connections or calls to the authorities in your own local countries. Be familiar with the laws. If you're in China, if you're Hong Kong, Taiwan, or Malaysia, just be cognizant of your own local laws as well. Okay, that's why they say applicable laws. Okay. And professional guidance means, okay, do you know of anybody who is in this professional setting that can help us?
This is the one where I think earlier you mentioned about, is it a mental issue? Should we refer to a therapy? That kind of professional guidance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because that individual could have been seeing a professional for some time, and then because sometimes what could happen is that psychologists or psychiatrists may first diagnose this individual with a certain condition, and they say, hey, please follow up with a psychologist, counselor, or coach. So oftentimes that individual may have existing professional support, so you may want to ask them in the onboarding questions as well.
Okay,
so good. Question one, you have 100%.
One question.
One question. Okay. Question two. A potential client approaches you who works for the same company where your spouse is employed. What should you do? A. Accept the client but don't discuss work-related topics. B. Decline the engagement due to potential conflict of interest. C. Accept the client after getting written approval from both companies. D. Refer the client to another coach with explanation.
The questions have got very similar options.
Make it a little more challenging.
Refer the I think I will choose D, accept the client after getting written approval from both companies, because I sort of need to, I don't know, make known that there's a conflict of interest. Though I was contemplating between B and C.
Okay.
I'll choose C.
You choose C. Accept the client after written approval from both companies. Okay. So after written approval from both companies, but your spouse is still being employed in the same company.
But because it's both companies, I may not be deployed to coach him.
That's something we do not know whether
true. I don't know. So in this case, we should decline.
Yeah, in this case, we would decline due to potential conflict of interest.
Okay.
And then we can also explain if we can refer the client to another coach with explanation. With explanation. Except
because not giving a lot of options here, as in, if you decline it, I don't know. It sounds like you're drawing the line just because of a potential conflict, not even finding out more.
Because in this case, the answers provided is just as such. So we make do with the sentence, which is a potential client, which is not our client yet. And and because there's also another spousal engagement. So we could ask the client more questions and more questions. So the bigger question is, would this then be a bigger problem in future? Because I may end up wasting my client's time going many circles.
Okay, that would depend. I mean, if let's say for C, if let's say both companies are clear, I have already surfaced the potential conflict, and both companies still give approval. In this case, we should still decline.
If both companies are agreeable and you are agreeable and the spouses are agreeable, you can continue with it.
Okay.
But because remember the key word here we're looking for is the word conflict of interest.
Yeah, correct.
So when answering the question, sometimes this C can also be correct. In the real world can be correct. But we're looking at what are the key words here, which is potential conflict of interest. So especially when answering the question, when you see words like potential conflict of interest, most likely that would be the better of the other options.
Okay, this one a bit tricky because to me getting written approval is very official.
Yes.
So to me, if let's say we are already getting written approval, you are already surfacing openly to both companies that there is conflict of interest.
So that doesn't mean that C is wrong. It just means that which one is more correct. Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, if it's in exam format, if I'm struggling, then
go with the one which has the
more blatant, more obvious.
Yes, go with the one which has the more ICF phraseology, which is conflict of interest. Yeah. So in the real world, of course, you get everything because you have more time to explain to clients. Yeah.
True. Okay.
So you will face some questions like this, like
I know. We have to choose.
That's correct. So ACC level is not so close. PCC it will get even closer. So sometimes you think very hard. Oh, this. Then so for coaches, I would say, okay, remember the phrases of how I say use the phrase.
Yes. So look at the phrases. Don't think too much first.
Yeah, don't think too much first. Right.
Okay.
You would of course we can say, we can also do A. Accept the client, but don't discuss work-related topics. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Right? I mean, if you want to really skirt the lines, but then we will choose one that is the best in accordance to the phrases that's being used in the ICF.
Okay, can.
Okay, good. Now, question 3. Which situation represents a clear boundary violation in coaching ethics? A. A coach sharing their own relevant life experience during a session. B, a coach accepting a small gift from a client after successful completion of coaching. C, a coach dating a former client 6 months after coaching relationship ended. Or D, a coach requiring payment in advance for coaching services.
Oh, your question is very hard to answer. Clear boundary violation. Wow, a bit hard to answer. Oh dear. D?
D, a coach requiring payment in advance for D.
Because very hard to choose, leh. I mean, A is definitely fine. C, it says the coaching relationship has ended. Ended already, ma. So to me, ended, I thought should be fine. So I know during it shouldn't, I guess,
Yep.
because I think the code of ethics say it should not. B, I don't know. B also cannot. And the small gift, is that considered bribery?
Well, that's so these are great ethical questions we can ask ourselves. If a client offers you a tissue paper
Yeah,
after they complete, and then
exactly.
it has like maybe the company brand, or maybe the
Correct.
client's own. Sometimes nowadays clients use the tissue paper with QR codes, their business
Yeah.
details. So that small gift is no longer small. It's not no longer a tissue paper. It's like a business card to
Uh-huh.
to give you a voucher towards something. So so that is also something to think about. Now,
Mm,
for D, a coach requiring payment in advance for coaching
mm.
services, there's nothing wrong with that, because as long as the client agrees to that,
Okay.
we can receive payment in advance.
Okay.
A, coach sharing life experience during a session upon getting permission from client. I think that's fine, right?
Okay.
So that means we are left with B and C.
B
So
and
we
C.
eliminate,
Yeah.
yeah, we eliminate the two that is most likely okay, right? And of course, the clear word here is the clear boundary in violation in coaching ethics.
Yeah. If really need to choose, then B lor.
If really need to choose, then B.
Yeah. Because clear boundary violation, ma. The other one, isn't it after 6 months after coaching relationship has ended? It means the contract has ended. It should have ended, right?
Yes, it is ended. The coaching relationship ended, and then will you get involved with, like, for example, if we change the word coach to a teacher, oops,
Mm.
a teacher dating a former student after the student has graduated from the school.
Well, if it's in adult education and they're both adults and the the teaching relationship has completed after
Mhm.
tertiary education, I don't think that is an issue, right?
Would that be an issue? Like
I don't
if I'm
know.
a university professor and you are a student in the school, both of us are both 21, and then you finish
I,
my class. You go to another different class already. I'm no longer a professor.
yeah, but that is in the same institution, ma. If let's say we consider that the person has already graduated, like in entering workforce already,
Mm.
totally no relationship, no longer NUS student, for example. I don't know whether MOE has any guidelines to say cannot lah. I'm
Uh,
not sure.
so that's something we need to check, whether there is or isn't a guideline on that. Right. So whenever we get stuck in this kind of situation, like
Mm,
B and C, or how do we choose, like accepting a small gift, which is a bigger violation? Because B seems like a violation, C seems like a violation, but which is
mm,
a clearer boundary violation? So then that's where we have to go
mm,
back to the ICF Code of Ethics to just explore
mm.
what does the Code of Ethics really say. Right? So if we go back to the ICF Code of Ethics here, did they what do they say about uh, the agreements or commitment of professional integrity. Or professional conduct. Okay. So the only part you find is here, which 3.6. Am mindful of the level of intimacy in the coaching relationship. I do not participate in any sexual or romantic relationship with clients or sponsors. If I detect a shift in relationship, I take appropriate action to address the issue or cancel the coaching.
Cancel. Yeah.
Mm.
But this one is after already, ma.
This is after already. So what should we? What's the best thing to do? So if I go through this and I say, hey, it's so hard to say, hey, should I not I?
Yeah.
So now the only thing I'm stuck with is, it seems like small gift. It looks okay, not okay, but looks better than the one about the dating.
It
So
looks like.
it
Okay.
looks like. So if I have to choose between either one, choosing a small gift or like a dating a former client, then based on these four options I have just within this context, then I have to go with the one that is closest to more of a violation than the other one.
Okay. Maybe because I'm not a professional coach yet charging, I don't have the kind of experience. But in your experience, let's say for example, I pay you like for a coaching class, say $1,000, and then we have completed our coaching and then I've paid up already. So in this case, I'm giving you let's say I buy you a $1 bottled drink because we met up. So in that sense, it seems okay, right?
Yeah, it's okay because sometimes clients do pay for a meal or drink, and
Okay.
it's a small gift of appreciation or token. But if let's say after we finish our engagement, you buy me a house or car,
Wow, I also
yeah,
hope.
yeah, like I will say thank you, like, but that gift will become quite a significant gift
Yeah.
beyond the price tag of. So to me, a big gift is something that goes beyond the price tag of the original coaching contract. Yeah. So if the coaching contract was maybe $1,000, and then if you give anything to me, like anything more than half of that amount, maybe a little bit a lot, because it's like you could have signed up another coaching package,
Correct.
but you give me close to that amount. So so I mean, people would then dice. What is a small amount? Is there a percentage that I should accept?
Yep.
No percentage. I said, I mean, if you want to go with something very pragmatic, you just say 10%, right? 10%, 20%. It's like a tip, right? So if you feel that, hey, maybe if I want to buy a gift for my coach, so some clients ask me, see, what gift should I buy my coach, right? To appreciate them. I don't want to get too small, like tissue paper. Don't feel sincere. I said, go 10%, 20% of whatever the package is, and then do something like that.
Yeah. The question easier to answer if you tell me buying a cup of coffee. Then I'll clearly choose C. Because a small gift is subjective also. But yes, I get your point. I think if we are comparing this way, then B might not be a very clear boundary violation. So in relationship to the question, C, it could be a clearer boundary violation.
Yep. So even though it may not be the best, right? So you'll find that some questions are like that, where hey, it looks like, wow, almost like everything looks very, very close, very, very similar. Oftentimes there will be two questions that are very, very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in that situation, then you ask yourself, okay, between a small gift versus a dating, the kind of relationship, right? Regardless whether is it because both ended after successful completion. Also ended.
Correct.
So if I just compare just based purely like that, okay, then I may have to go with C.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
So that's how we kind of decide. So decide some of these questions, especially close, right? And it's not so obvious. The ICF website sample questions is more clear. It's very obvious.
More knowledge, clear knowledge base.
Here test you a little bit more of your understanding.
Yep. And that's why it's good to have someone to ask or practice. I think it's helpful for us lah. Yeah.
Correct. Okay, good. So let's go to question 4. Question 4 says when can a coach ethically break confidentiality without client consent? A. When the client's manager requests information about progress. B. When required by law or court order. C. When the coach believes it would benefit the client's development. D. When discussing the case anonymously with other coaches for learning purpose.
Okay, this one is easy. B.
This one should be straightforward. B, right?
Yes. This one, if I don't say, I might be breaking some rules also, so breaking some laws.
Yeah. Even sometimes some coaches say, but I'm just doing it for the client's interest, the best interest. I said, no, we still have to go back to the confidentiality clause.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 5. A coach discovers that their coaching approach isn't effectively serving a client. What is the most ethical response? A. Continue the current approach since the client agreed to it. B. Modify the approach without discussing it with the client. C. Openly discuss the situation with the client and explore alternatives. Or D. Refer the client to another coach immediately.
C.
Which one?
C.
Okay,
yes.
So C, this is quite straightforward, right? Openly discuss the situation with the client and explore alternatives. Okay, so a question like this will definitely appear because they'll describe something like, the client doesn't feel benefit, doesn't feel like the coaching has adding any more value. What should the coach do? Okay, so again, openness, discuss whether should end or not to end the contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 6. What constitutes a dual relationship that should be avoided in the coaching process? A. Coaching someone who works in the same industry as you. B. Coaching someone who attends the same professional conference. C. Coaching your business partner's employee. Or D. Coaching someone who lives in your neighborhood.
I am going to pick C.
C.
Because that would be okay. I am not exactly sure what does a dual relationship mean in this case, but if I'm choosing what should be avoided, I would choose C.
Yep. So C should be avoided because of the dual relationship. Dual relationship means you have a professional relationship and another professional relationship.
Yep.
So on one hand, I'm having one professional relationship with my business partner, but then another relationship as a coach to them.
Okay. That's the dual relationship.
Dual relationship.
Okay.
So if it's someone within your neighborhood, and then what's your relationship? You also have a dual relationship, but your dual relationship is not one of professional, one of societal community relationship.
Yeah, I see this person before. We use the same community center.
Yeah, so then that was okay, but because it's a different domain of a relationship. One is community, one is in the same way like this as well. See, B, coaching someone who attends the same professional conferences.
All have dual relationship.
All have dual relationship, but the dual relationship all different.
Okay, right. I was caught up with what does the dual relationship mean, but I answered because of the avoided in coaching. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, good. Question 7. A client asks you to coach their teenage child. What should you consider first? A. Whether you have experience coaching teenagers. B. Whether you can maintain confidentiality with both clients. C. Whether this creates a potential conflict of interest. Or D. Whether the teenager actually wants coaching.
B.
B.
Whether I can maintain confidentiality with both clients.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. Okay, yes, because I think the confidentiality clause is very significant in coaching itself, and it appears at many different levels, and I find that is a huge consideration. Yeah, and so I picked that
Okay. You feel that is the most worst?
Although if now you ask me to think again, if you're looking at the sentence, I think potential conflict of interest seems like a key phrase. So that might be possible too.
Okay, so now you got two phrases. One is conflict of interest. One is potential. Uh,
Maintain
one's
confidentiality.
confidentiality. So which one is we should consider first, or which is higher?
Which one should you consider first?
Mm.
I don't know. Because potential conflict of interest is whether I have a conflict of interest with that person. Ma. I have no relationship with the teenage child. Neither do I have a relationship with the client. Ma.
You
Right.
have
So I mean, both are my client, ma, right?
okay. Currently, the client is your client, but the teenage child is not your client yet.
Mm.
So you have a dual relationship, right? You have your client is an official client with you, but the teenage child has not yet become an official client with you.
Okay.
Okay. So if you think about this scenario, what
Yeah.
could potentially come up? Like the parent could say, "Oh, hey, can you convince my child to study harder?"
Yeah, lah. It's going to be hard to manage that lah. Maintain conflict. Yeah, maybe I should consider C first, or potential conflict of interest.
Okay. So actually, conflict of interest would be first.
Yeah.
Well, if that is maintained, it means if that is known by both parties, then okay, this is the boundary we're going to do, and then we can go to the next stage, which is confidentiality. So I will just tell the parent or the child,
Okay,
this is the
okay.
boundary. So so notice this is just
Okay.
really what is the sequence.
So both is necessary. It's just which one comes first, right?
Which one comes first?
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Once they both okay, they acknowledge that I know you're coaching both. They're okay with it, then we draw the confidentiality bubble.
Because my assumption was both will know, but I think I'm not understanding that this means that there is a potential conflict of interest. Because I'm jumping straight to they should both know lah. Yeah. So yes, this would be first.
Okay, very very nice. Okay, next one. Question 8. How should a coach handle a situation where they lack competence in an area important to the client's goals? A. Research the topic thoroughly before the next session. B. Acknowledge limitations and consider referral or additional training. C. Continue coaching but avoiding discussing that particular area. Or D. Partner with another professional without telling the client.
Okay, this is also easy. B.
Huh?
B.
D.
B.
Oh, B
for boy.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yes.
So acknowledging the limitations, right? Just treat each other. Hey, this is I'm not an expert in this area.
Yeah, I do have also friends, when we do practice coaching, then they come for career counseling. Career coaching. And they very specifically ask for certain things, which I would tell them that specific niche areas I don't do. And the certified coaching career coaches, right? They have a specific way of doing it. So I do think we have to be open and upfront to share with them what we cannot do or what we don't do.
Yep. You can tell them just say, hey, if you want me to still coach you around career, but it will not be the career coaching or career advising that is. And likewise for career coaching or career advising, in different countries they have a different framework. Some countries have a requirement that if you're doing career coaching, you must be a registered career coach. Some countries it's like free for all. So there are also regulations and bodies that regulate certain aspects or domains of coaching, like sports coaching. Just because I'm a certified coach doesn't mean I can do any kind of sports coaching. Right? Because it's different from like professional coaching. Okay, good. So that is question 8. Question 9. What is the most appropriate way to handle client records and notes? A. Keep them indefinitely for future reference. B. Store them securely and follow applicable privacy laws. C. Share them with other professionals working with the same client. Or D. Destroy them immediately after each session.
Store them securely and follow applicable privacy laws.
That would be the most appropriate.
Yeah. Though there's a part of me that says, I will destroy them immediately.
Ideally, of course,
Ideally, yeah.
we don't keep any of their records.
Yeah.
But because sometimes some coaching engagement is one that's a bit more longer
Yeah.
term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after the coaching engagement has ended, then that's
Yeah.
where you can decide whether, based on the privacy laws, okay, we need to dispose,
Yep.
delete,
Yep.
and stuff.
Yep. I think the word immediate is the one that I ended up choosing B, because if you're talking about destroy them after the session is complete, then that will become a struggle lah. How do I choose? Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Good. Last question. A client offers you a significant business opportunity. How should you respond? A. Accept if it doesn't interfere with coaching sessions. B. Decline, explain the potential conflict of interest. C. Accept but modify the coaching agreement accordingly. Or D. Discuss it with the client to ensure they are comfortable.
This one also easy. B for boy.
Okay, so this one again, conflict of interest. Okay,
Yes.
because it's a significant business opportunity.
Yeah. What if your question is a client offers you a significant business opportunity half a year after you have completed
Huh.
your so how would the answer be?
Well, it depends on the other three options.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
If we just take it standalone like this, like it's an open-ended question. So sometimes I like if ICF has an open-ended question, but the more you have open-ended question, it's going to be very difficult to evaluate.
Yeah. Correct. Yes.
Because because everyone will have their own, like
Yeah.
context, let's say. So of course, if the coaching relation is ended and they offer you other business opportunities, the easy one to say is that, okay, as long as it doesn't cause additional potential conflict
Conflict of interest. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and it doesn't create other impact to your other clients, then it's fine. Yeah. So some coaches, because they have a bunch of clients, but if they take up certain role or they take up certain significant business opportunities, it may impact the other clients that they may have.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
So then
Okay.
they might feel otherwise. Okay, how do you feel about these 10 questions?
It's a great experience going through them, and that's why I said, okay, we have more sessions, because knowing and reading through everything that I'm supposed to read does not mean that I can get everything correct. Our brain will still be distracted by some of our own assumptions or work experience, or the usual way we go about doing things. I think this is useful because at least for today's session, I have learned that this is a knowledge based examination, and it requires you to look at the the statement or the stem of question that they have come up with, mainly to look at the phrases lah. Not so much of thinking too deeply about different or various scenarios, really just to look at what are they asking. So I think that is my biggest learning for this session.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Irene. Actually, we have another 50 more questions, but I think it'll be too many.
Yeah. Yes.
So today we'll just do it until this part, and I think it's a great job that you've done so far. Reviewing that we've undergone the strategies. We talk about the different process, some of the considerations, what to study, and then we did a little practice here and there. So for those watching, for those listening, continue to subscribe to the channel, listen to the next few episodes because something exciting coming along. And if you are preparing for ACC or PCC or MCC and you need help, reach out to us because we're here to and get ready to help you and to journey alongside of you. Thank you for tuning in to The Coach Within. If today's episode sparked something in you, take a moment to reflect, journal, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. Want to experience coaching or explore our upcoming programs? Head to Jedi.coach or check out our show notes to connect. If this podcast helped you to grow, please follow, share, and leave a review. It helps more people to find us. And until next time, keep listening, keep reflecting, and keep braving your story from within.